Freedom?
Before Hitler?
Before Hitler, it was pretty good.
It was not bad.
It wasn't bad. And because there were the Sozialdemokraten, and they said everybody is the same, Jew, Catholics, anybody. And it was all right. And then after the Sozialdemokraten, then came the Christlich Sozialen, the Christian.
Was also not
it
bad.
wasn't bad either, okay? They didn't touch the Jews.
Anti-Semitism was all.
But not, you couldn't feel it very bad under the Sozialdemokraten or under this. And after the Christlich Sozialen, then came the Christlich Sozialen. They arrested a lot what they were against. They were already, they said communist, is what they said. And they arrested them. And then they were illegal, and then they started inside. I know in my office where I used to work, there were some women, their husbands were in prison, and they were Sozialdemokraten, but then they said they changed to communists, and so they were in prison, that's why. And in prison they started illegal to work for the Nazis. They came from Germany, propaganda, and everybody came.
So these people who were
Sozialdemokraten first, they became Nazis.
I see.
That's right, yes.
But they were arrested as communists?
Yeah.
Isn't that a contradiction?
Well, I tell you what, Sozialdemokraten and communists is very similar. You know, they had a lot the same ideas, okay? But not the communism what was in Russia. In Russia, that was a whole different ballgame, you know?
Now, I guess my question is, was there any point between the time your parents left Poland and came to Vienna to stay when you were very small?
No, don't know anything. When I came, I was a baby then.
Between that time,
1912, 1913 they came. 1910 I was born in Poland, okay? And then
but it wasn't Poland when you were born there.
No, it was Austria.
Did it ever occur to either of you to leave town, to move somewhere else?
When? What year?
We were children.
I mean, no, any time
when
after
we were bigger?
when you were
Oh
older.
no, it was very good. I had a wonderful job, and I was very happy. The conditions were first class for me. I had very good insurances. I did get 4 weeks paid vacation. I was working in a Palast der schönen Künste. It was one of the, you can't imagine, Chic Parisien was the name.
Like Playboy or
Oh, I've heard of that.
Yes. There was a library outside and everything, and there was all the, like in a museum on the 3rd floor, all hand-painted gallery, and we gave out about 80 fashion books, and some, das Goldene Buch, your late mother, I gave her one. It was $25, like 25 shillings a book, and they were hand-painted. We had all the artists on one floor. We had a gallery on the other floor, and downstairs.
And the name what was the name of this book?
Chic
This was Chic Parisien.
Chic Parisien were one. Oh, they had different names. Le Grand Parisien, Jeunesse, Enfant, and Gentleman, and La Parisienne. All kinds of, all French and German titles. Okay?
And what did you do for them? You were secretary?
I came there as a practicant in this like this, and I had to stay there 3 years, and I had to go to school, and then I had to go to college there to learn all the banking and
so you were in the financial end of it.
Yes, yes, and I was in office, and I worked myself up, and I was working there from 14 to 28 years.
Wow.
14 years. And I had already about 12 or 14 girls working under me, where I dictated the letters to them and everything. It was a wonderful, a beautiful job. And when you came in, Bertha and Gus, they came in once, and they couldn't believe it. I mean, so elegant.
Where were the offices?
In the third, in the
Dritten Bezirk.
dritten Bezirk.
Back to the maps?
Levengasse 47.
I brought everything with me.
Straße, siehst du die Landstraße und da muss sein, wo von den Gläsern, muss sein Löwengasse. There until Hitler came, about 6 months now we were with Hitler. And then all the Jews, then we had to go.
You were given notice. You were
No,
let go or you.
we were lucky that they didn't throw us out in March 1938. I worked till about June. And then in June, we had a commissariat that was from the Nazis, because our procurist and commissar, the procurist was a Jew, he had to go right away. In all the very, very high, what the sign checks and everything, they had to leave right away. And their commissar, he came and he was judenfreundlich, heißt es, okay? He was from Czechoslovakia. And he saw he saw what we were and how we worked and everything, and he was very nice to us. And he stretched it out till June. And after June, then he couldn't longer keep us, and then we had to leave. And after a month, he committed suicide and he hung himself in Wiener.
This is the commissar.
The commissar, because he couldn't stand it. He didn't know what really is going to be, that it will be so bad, what they did to the Jews, you know. They said, well, it will come in the Nazis and it will be better and they will get, they can do what they want and they will have food and this and that. But when they saw what they did to the Jews, some of them, they could not accept it. And he could not accept it.
And still that time the Jews in Vienna and all over the Jews didn't know what was going on.
In June already, when I lost my job.
They were sent to a concentration camp, they were sent, and that's in a Arbeitslager, and to work there. But nobody knew about the gas chambers.
Well, the gas chambers weren't in effect until much, much later.
In the Kristallnacht, you were
Yeah.
verhaftet, me too.
Oh, you were?
Oh, sure. They took us out 12 o'clock at night, in the Kristallnacht. The policeman came.
From
12
your
o'clock,
apartment?
From my apartment, knocked on the door.
How do they know you were Jews?
Huh? Because downstairs,
People in the apartment, in the building.
in the building, the Hausmeisterin, the janitor, he asked,
They
are
went
there
to the
Jews?
janitor to find out
And the
who are
janitor
the
said
Jews
on the third
in
floor
the
there are
building.
Jews. There was Mrs. Lieberman and there was Kurzberg and we too, yeah. And so he came up and he knocked on the door and he said, and Max told me before already, he came home about 10 o'clock and he said, you don't know what's going on. He said, they're verhaften, terrible. So I said, what should we do? He said, nothing, let's go to bed. So about 12 o'clock, there was a knock and he said, it's police. So I took my dressing gown and I opened and he said, ziehen Sie sich bitte an und kommen Sie mit mir, Sie werden bald zurück sein. It was pouring, I remember, and I was very pissed, I couldn't believe it. And I took some Baldrian-Tropfen. I was so...
Some what?
That is
Some drops.
Baldrian, your mother used to take it up. It is a little bit like morphine, some kind to
Like
On Valium.
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 The Valium of its day, I love it.
yeah. And
Well, if anybody was justified,
and then Max had to get dressed and sie werden bald zurückkommen. We never came back.
women
Okay.
never came back.
Well, we came to the Rosauerlände.
Yeah.
What was
First,
Rosauerland?
Rosauerlände, im 9. Bezirk, that was
On
the
the
big,
promenade.
of the Promenade. There, du warst auch auf der Rosauerlände.
What is that? I don't know what it is.
That's
A big police station.
Police commissariat.
Yeah, a big police station. There we were about 2 days, and from there they
Were you
sent us.
together?
No, men separate and women separate. And it was like a little this. And then from there we came in another police station in the Karajangasse. There it was bei den 20. Bezirk.
No, I went to the
That was
Reitschule.
very bad. There it was terrible. It was, first of all, a lot of prostitutes and all they were 6 or 7 years they were there, and from there they all came to Dachau. They told us this. And there were only Jews and the prostitute and gypsies. We all were together. And we didn't know what will happen, so some of them, we all come to Dachau, we all will go to Dachau. And we were there about a week. And there was Wanzen mit Ratzen, a terrible was there. And from there, then they said, sie werden wieder woanders. Then we came ins Landesgericht. Das ist the biggest.
Gericht ist the judgment is
From whole Vienna, this is the biggest there where the judges is and where you get.
About the court.
courtroom.
Yeah. And the judge, already the judges, what were, say, social or the Jews, always, they were no more. Only the Nazis were there, the judges anymore, you know. And there we were sitting, I didn't know where Max is, he didn't know where I was, because we were never together. And there I was 6 weeks. I still have vom Landesgericht, wo ich bin dort gesessen, 6 weeks. And we always thought, well, that's it. From here, then we come to Dachau. Jeder sagt, that's it. From here, we come to Dachau.
What was the perception at that time of what it was that a place like Dachau was then? I mean,
Arbeitslager.
Arbeitslager, and a lot of people died on their way to Dachau, okay?
They killed him
Because
before they
they
reached
killed
there.
him. If they killed him or if they died, you had to look, stay so and look in the light 24 hours. Yeah? So you dropped dead, you couldn't stand it. Sick men or sick women or all this. I mean, torture, real torture, okay? Und im Landesgericht, there we were also again the Jews, das heißen die Judenzelle. There were from Rabbi die Weiber and I mean very nice people. So we all were, and we did get black coffee in the morning, and then then they came and they opened this little cooker and they put in some pea soup and a piece of bread and nothing more, and in the evening again a black coffee and a piece of bread, and there's 6 weeks, okay? And after 6 weeks, the policeman came and called my name, and said, jetzt kommen Sie vor dem Judge, okay? Now you get, this is like here you are just in prison, and then you get your.
so what would this be, like January 39 already?
No, yeah, it went
Roughly.
over, from the Crystal Night, from
Yeah.
November
Yeah.
till that's right. And
Over and through Christmas.
over to Christmas. And for Christmas, the gypsies, the Jews were not allowed. Hello? Yes? Oh ja? Okay, du hast der Kuvert dort vergessen, der Ernstl fragt, ob du das brauchst.
I'll stop by on our way back.
She's going to stop by on her way back.
I don't know if I
All
need
right.
it.
What did you
Thank
want?
you.
What did you forget?
An envelope.
An envelope.
I'll double check, okay?
Oh.
I don't know what it is, but I can look.
So then we came for the judge.
You were saying though that the Christmas, the gypsies were
The
what?
gypsies were allowed to get parcels for Christmas from outside, you know, and they were so good. They cut little pieces of ham or whatever they had, and they gave, of course, the frommen Juden, they didn't eat it, but wherever we were glad just to have a taste from something else, you know. And we did get every day a big sheet, and there was bologna, salami, cheese, and the woman, the Nazi woman, she said to us, well, whatever you want, you get, and you can order it, and you get it. We thought, very good. You never saw it.
Oh, okay.
Never.
They gave you a menu, but there was nothing at the other end.
Not for us. Not for us.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, we'd never get anything. So that was the Christmas, and then we had to go for the judge. And the policeman who called me, and I had to go with him through long corridors, a young fella from the country he was, also a younger Schegitz, you know. And there he started, and he wanted to kiss me on this. And I said to him, you come to Dachau just like me. Das ist Rassenschande. So he looked at me, no, so schön smile, so a lovely girl like you know, and this, and I was shaking, because if somebody came, they could say that I was the one, you know,
sure,
this was the
sure.
thing. So, mit Ach und Krach, I came there for the judge. So, and just when I wanted to go in, Max came out. He was first by the judge from the Männer, and he said to me, sei ruhig und sag gar nichts, sag gar nichts. He said he was so scared because otherwise it's schlecht. So I said, so he went away and I went in and he asked me my name, hin und her, where I worked, this and that. Why didn't you leave the country when you know that our Führer came to Vienna? So I said I didn't have anywhere to go. So he said, oh yes, you had gas at home and you had the Donau. So that means you could poison yourself with gas, or you could drown yourself in the Donau. That was the answer. So I didn't answer anything more. That's what the judge did, the Nazi judge. And then he said, Sie sind, und Max told me then afterwards, he said, was ist Ihre Frau? Und he said, meine Frau ist Wienerin. Jüdin, keine Wienerin. Jüdin darf nicht sein, eine Wienerin, you know. So, that was it. So we didn't know then what it was. Und er hat gesagt, sie sind verurteilt worden, weil sie nicht das Land verlassen haben, nach Paragraph so und so, so dass ich noch habe. Und weiter weiß nicht, was weiter ist. Und wieder zurück in der Zelle. And about 3 days later, we got transferred again to the Rosauerlände.
That's the first prison.
Where we went first, yes.
That's the police commissariat.
Of the big one there, and there we didn't know what happened now. If we go to Dachau, and from there I had to go to a big shot in the Braungasse, im ersten Bezirk. And there was from the Gestapo one of this. And he said to me, when I came to him, he said to me, was tun Sie noch immer hier? So I said, well, I would like to go somewhere, but ich habe keine Papiere. I had my affidavit to go to America, but because I was the Polish quota, so they wouldn't let me in America. They said the Polish quota is overcrowded and you will have to wait. And we did get our affidavit already in March 1938, right away.
When you say affidavit, you see, this is the thing I never get straight. Which affidavits are issued by whom and
This
for what?
affidavit was from her uncle, from Max's uncle.
From his uncle from New Jersey.
From Jersey.
New Jersey.
Yeah.
That was his father's brother. He sent us
His
right away.
father's brother was in New Jersey.
New Jersey, in Passaic.
Passaic.
Yeah,
I was
he was
there.
living there. Yeah.
Ah.
And he sent us right away affidavit, and we thought we will go.
And this was in what, March of 38?
That's right. Right away when Hitler came, we did get affidavits, and we had to wait 10 years to come to America. Okay?
A Polish quota.
The Polish quota.
You know, there's there was an article in the paper about a man who did a lot about getting Jews to help escape from Dr. William Pearl, who was himself Viennese. But one of the quotes that has been important to me because it's he said, "The Nazis set the fire, the world locked the emergency exits." Okay? Nobody went off
Nobody
scot-free.
opened the door.
Okay.
Roosevelt said we don't want the Jews. In England, Churchill said we don't want the Jews.
Well, as a matter of fact, the thing that I find interesting that I found in this book also was that statistically England, who, in spite of the fact that they didn't supposedly allow the Jews to go to Palestine, took more Austrian Jews than
Correct.
any other country,
Correct.
including the United States.
Correct.
That's not the Polish Jews, it's Austrian Jews.
Austrian Jews,
But
Polish Jews, German
but
Jews.
overwhelming number more.
Yeah.
As compared with Canada,
Yeah.
Compared to America.
No, America was close. It's 31,000 went to England, 28,000 went to America,
Well.
18,000 went to China, 9,000 made it to Palestine, 4,000 went to Belgium, and the outrage is that Canada accepted 82.
The most of them.
No,
80,
82.
the least,
Oh,
82.
82, not 82,000,
82.
82 people.
Canadian. Oh, yeah,
But of
So-
course, anti-Semitism.
All right, so it was interesting backlash kind of thing, which I had not known.
So I went to this Gestapo man, and he kept on saying, well, you have to come every week to me and show your
yeah.
face. Reporting. And I said, all right. And then he said, on the other way, let's get rid of you. Get some phone and said, I call up Dachau and you're going right away to Dachau. I don't want you. Well, I was shaking. He just wanted to threaten me. He didn't do it. He just also the phone and looked at me, just sadismus. And when I came out, I had a girlfriend. She was working with me in the office, and she was a Christian. And I called her up and I said to her what happened, because she said what happened, and so I said, I'm out from prison, but I don't know what to do. So she said, I'm going to take a lawyer, not a Jewish lawyer, another lawyer. And you won't go to him anymore, she said. The lawyer will go to him. And this is what she did. She took a lawyer.
You were able to get a Christian lawyer to represent you, to deal
It was.
with the Gestapo?
He
Wow,
went,
pretty
to
impressive.
him, and he told him, said, I tried to get papers to go. So, but I didn't have, I had the affidavit, that was all what I had to go. So then she found out that a friend of mine, a Jewish, what worked with me in the office, she's in England as a domestic. Asked if she could do anything for me. She wrote back to me and said to me, she's going to put an ad in the paper in England for somebody to be my sponsor. Okay? And there she found somebody, and she put in the ad, said, they will have nothing to do with me. I won't ask them for any money, just it is a formality. If they would give me the permit to come to England as a housemaid, as anything. And somebody did it, and I wrote to her, I will pay you everything what I can, and I will bring you everything. So they
That's the
said,
way she went to England.
that's the way I came to England. And Max, we were members years by the Zionists. And the Zionist group sent out only men between 20 and 30 years, but have a transit permit. We had to go to America, but we didn't know when. So the Zionists said, if you can't go to America, then you will go to Palestine. But in the meanwhile, England said, if you have somewhere else to go, you can stay so long in our country.
Be the housemaid,
Housemaid.
and she had.
She had a cook
Who
and
was
parlourmaid, Mrs. Newman. She was a Kommerzialratsgat and a very rich woman from Vienna. She had a private chauffeur and she shot all the pictures.
This
so
was the
it
parlourmaid?
proof. No, she was the cook.
Oh, she was the
And the
cook.
parlourmaid, she was a teacher in Vienna, French and English. And she
All
studied in
professional
the
people.
university in Vienna.
Okay, and then
And
you were the
then
housemaid.
I was the housemaid.
What did the housemaid,
The
what were your
housemaid,
duties as a
I had
housemaid?
to do the beds
Yeah,
and vacuum clean and do the bathrooms.
how many bathrooms were
Well, she had one, and then they had two children in college. So there were a boy and a girl, there were four. And then usually there were always company, so there were the one bathroom. So I had about 6, 7 bathrooms every day. And not only this, they never went in the night, just they went to the bathroom. And
They had
each
change
bed was
pots.
the big pot, the
there?
porcelain
Oh,
pot.
God!
And I had to empty this
Oh.
every morning. And when even the boy came from college, he was about 17 years old, I thought, you really could go to the bathroom. I mean, they all were used just. And I cried my eyes out every morning when I had to wash the brass tubs and this. And when
Disgusting.
I came down, it was very disgusting. But I had my own room. We had our own house with staff. We were separate from.
How big was this estate?
Oh, it was a very big estate. We had a gardener and God knows what else, and a butler.
Is that house still standing, you know? This
I guess.
Haywood
It's an
Heath,
estate.
this Haywood Heath, is this still there?
Haywood Heath, Summer Hill was the name of this Summer Hill.
What's
Was the name of
what?
the place of the estate, Summer Hill.
Because that's a famous school, Summerhill too.
Yeah.
Is that right? Maybe it's a school now.
I would be surprised.
And then I had to help me a between maid. That was a young girl. She was about 16 years old, an English girl. She was the only one English, and of course the gardener was English. And so this between maid, she knows how to polish. You know, there was just a little bit carpet in the middle, and all this I had to sit on my knee and wax
Okay.
and polish by hand. We didn't have a polisher like I had here, everything by hand. And my knees, oh, I thought I died, honest to God. And it had to be done in the dining room. And that wasn't enough. So one day she went to London, the lady Egger, and she came back and she called me in the drawing room and asked me and told me she has a big present for me. And I was very a present for me. And she bought me a new garniture, a little.
Oh, God.
And the white.
A uniform. That's some
That
present.
was the present what she bought me, the uniform, and she said to me, she's very happy to have me, and she would like that I shall go when the parliament serves dinner, she goes with the Blitz, I shall be the second one when company comes to go with the vegetable dishes. She wanted to show off that not only just the butler is dort and the parliament, so
You're
In
Another
other words,
one.
she was getting brownie points in her community as a charitable, good soul who was
Yes.
taking in all
but
of
the
the
sir, he was not Judenfreundlich. He did not like us, not the cook. He wanted, and the lady Egger, she only liked European cook. So Mrs. Newman, she cooked a Yiddish soup. She said, today I make a Yiddish gute soup, and everything, and she liked it, and she made Schaumrollen and everything. And when the kids came from college, they loved it too. But he did not like. He only liked English.
English, but terrible cooks.
The food is terrible. The English food is terrible.
Have a go.
So,
No, they're not
Not
cooks. I
tasty.
mean,
No flavor.
Yes,
the
You
cabbage
get-
and
you
water
get-
in and out, and just this and no taste.
So
and
how
nothing.
long were you as the parlor maid and
Well, I tell you what. I was there about a month
the housemaid?
and a housemaid, and I kept writing to Max, and then he said he would like to come and visit me. I have to ask the lady Egger if he could come, and he would get a permit from camp if he could stay a week with me. So I had to ask. She said, yeah, but he can't stay in this house where you stay. He has to take somewhere a room. So the Mrs. Newman, the cook, and the parlourmaid said, what does she know? That he will go around the house and he runs up the stairs and will go in your room, and the food, she said, he can eat in your dining room. We had our own dining room because we had our own little house. But he has to go somewhere else to sleep. Lady Egger said he's not allowed to sleep with me or in our place. So I said, all right. And first of all, we didn't have any money. He did get a cent, a penny a day there, and one cigarette a day. So he came, so I wrote to him, yes, you can ask for a permit and you can come here.
So you were not able to leave with any money from Vienna?
10
From Vienna to England.
10 Reichsmark, 10 mark. I mean,
It's,
and the 10 mark,
it's nothing.
it was nothing,
Yeah.
nothing at all.
So how was Ansel able to leave with all that money to go to Sweden?
Because he was not Jewish. He was Jewish, but he went back again.
Yeah,
So
okay.
they were allowed, but not the Jews,
I see.
you see. So he did get a permit, and I picked him up from the station. He could not speak about English either, and he had to travel about 4 hours from Kent to Hayward's Heath, where Harris was. But he came just the same, and he was impressed about how beautiful it there was, naturally. So I said to him, yes, you're very impressed, but you know what I have to do? Then I showed him all the bathrooms. He thought that I am here in the palace. He's there. He said that the mud is so deep, and it's raining, and everything is damp and cold, and es schimmelt schon alles wird schon verfault. I said my luggage and everything. So he came and said, now I will show you what I have to do. I have to get up 5 o'clock in the morning. I have to bring the early morning tea to Lady Egger. I have to make tea, the teapot hot, with some cookies, and I call it cake, and bring it up 5 o'clock in the morning. And every morning you have to bring the early morning tea. It has to be just so, the milk jug, and this and that, and this. And then after 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock or 8:30 is breakfast. I had nothing to do. That was the parliament, and I had to go up already and do all the rooms. The bed and vacuum clean and dust and everything. And then in the afternoon she said, Cecilia, dann haben Sie eine schöne Maschine, und then I have to do sewing. Linen have to sew up. Bed linen sheets what were torn, I had to put in, flatten and everything. And I had to do in the afternoon about 3 hours, I had to do sewing. And then about 5, 6 o'clock I had to go already this and draw all the big drapes in every room, pull together and open the bed just a certain way, put this bed, put the nightgown there and this.
Mädchen für alles.
And yeah. And then she rang the bell again for Cecilia. I shall come up and I shall zipper her gown. 7:15 was the big gong, you know what a gong is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And 7:15 they came down like to a party in gown and the sir, and that was the big dinner.
Dinner.
Every night.
Every single night. Yeah.
That's the way the rich.
That
Only
place,
English.
only the
Only
English.
English.
Well,
Have you've
if
never
it's-
been back.
If it's any
England.
if it's any consolation, those people now take in boarders.
Oh, don't be such a
So
we stayed in some places that were very, very elegant, and they take in
We
They
stayed
were
in-
so rich.
we
The
stayed in
silver was
places-
there und this.
And we stayed in places that were like that, where they handed over parts of the place to be hotels.
because they
I mean,
can't.
maybe not
they
this
can't-
place, because
they
they
can't
couldn't
keep
pay
them
the
up,
taxes. After the war, they weren't able to maintain them. Percentage of the
I
places
know they
after
had
the war
estates in
that,
Brighton because I went
Oh, I
there and
love
I
it.
had
also continue, it's good, it's wonderful.
So
Now,
that
you
was
were there for
48.
how long?
I was at the Max came and then he left, okay, after a week. And about 12 days later, I didn't feel good. And I started to feel funny.
Mm.
And I started to
Right.
throw up.
Right. But I know what happened.
And I
That was
was
Sylvia.
sick as a dog. And I went from one bathroom, I couldn't go from one bathroom to the other in the sauna. So they know the girls, of course, that worked in the Lady Egger didn't know anything about it. But then I could not stand it any longer. I couldn't keep any food in me and nothing. So we had to tell her. So the parliament, she told her. So she said to me, she said, take me to the doctor, find out what is wrong with me.
Oh.
So the doctor examined
So,
me, he looked
yeah.
and he said, she's pregnant.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. So we came back and we told the lady Egger, and she said, well, I should stay a day in my room. So I was lying down and I was throwing up and throwing, excuse me, and I couldn't keep anything. So she said that it's no use. She took me to a hospital, and it was a hospital, it was already the war. It was before the war.
Yeah.
It was not the war
Well,
yet.
what?
It
what-
was August,
August of,
yeah, end of August.
August 39.
August 39.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we're at the August 39, right?
Yeah. And that was just a hospital what they made ready for the refugees from London, what they will come. You know, well, they know there will be a war, and they started already prepare for a war.
You mean like now?
Yeah.
Yeah, like now, so a situation. So that she took me there, the lady Egger, and she said that, and the doctor said, yeah, I shall stay there. And it was terrible. I was sick, as they couldn't do nothing to me. I was lying in bed and they started to intravenous feeding me. And I was there 7 months
In this hospital?
in this hospital.
Shit.
I was so sick that I called a big physician from London. They came, 2 of them and the doctor from hospital, and I held a concilium to find out what's wrong with me. Because they couldn't believe that I couldn't keep a drop of water in me. So the one doctor, parlez-vous français? I said, no, I can't speak so. Now when they heard German, they were, you know, it was the red, this for red light for them, that they hated it. So that was the only language, and Yiddish, but they were not Jews, the doctors.
No.
So they examined me, and then my doctor came and said, the doctor said that I only kept on crying and saying, I want to get rid of it. I don't want to be pregnant. I said, I don't have a roof over my head. I don't have my people here. My husband is in camp and I'm all alone and I can't be pregnant. They shall do something for it. So the doctor called the 2 physicians from London and they said, and in London it was not allowed to do because they said it's nothing wrong with me. I'm a healthy woman and I work against my nature. This is what the doctor said. I had a German English dictionary and he looked up in English and I answered him so good I could and I understood what he meant. So he said he's sorry, but I have to make the best of it and they're going to feed me intravenous till it will stop. And it stopped maybe about a month later and I couldn't keep anything in. So after about 3 weeks I wrote to Max and I said that I'm in hospital and I'm very sick and I don't know if I will live. And if you can get a pass, then you come and visit me. And he came and it was just before Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. And he came, can you imagine, from Kent, he came there in this hospital. I mean, it is a miracle that he could find. It was a little hospital what I just finished. It was not a real hospital, just an emergency, like you see in the when for the soldiers, you know, just for this.
And this was in, where was this hospital?
That was near
and where
Hayward's
he-
Heath.
yeah.
Yeah, it was near Hayward's Heath. And he came, because he couldn't speak English either, and he said, but there was a Red Cross nurse from the Welt's War, and she could speak a little bit German, a few words. So he came and he was nice dressed from had a nice this, and there they all were dressed like Slavs in England, and he was nice. And so they introduced him to the doctor, and he asked him where he came, and he said he's in Richbury camp, and he has leave, and he would like to see me. So he said yes, and then the sister asked him where he's going to stay to make like this. Money he didn't have anything. So the doctor said, he came, and he told the doctor, I don't want to stay. Well, they couldn't force me. So he said, where will you go? He said, I have one address from a friend of ours, and we will try to. Well, don't ask me. It was about a 2 hours ride, at least 2 hours from Hayward's Heath to London, and I was going up all the way in the rail, in the barn. And then I came there and it was blackout. You know, you couldn't see nothing. Where will we go? You couldn't see. Where is it? We had an address.
Now, he was able to get away from the
He
camp.
did get a pass, yes, for
That was
a
a
week.
pass,
A pass,
okay.
just a week, yes. So finally we asked, and then we found there, no, we did not find. We just walked, me with my belly, and he walked, and we didn't know where to go. And we saw a little light, and you couldn't see, you were not allowed to see it, and we saw a little light, and I said, let's go there where light is. We went there and we just saw a little light, and we knocked on the door and opened a little bit, and he saw me with my belly and he looked, and Max said, if I could have a little bit water, I don't feel good for me. And er said, Jeden? And we said yes. And Kim daran. So he spoke Jewish, come on in. So we went in, it was a little store, very small, it was the East End. And there were only working people lived there. I don't know if you know the East End, Stepney
Not really.
Green. No?
Yeah, where would the East End is where,
Like here, the Lancaster.
That's right, yeah.
Is that where we went
it-
that time they,
The
the
Jewish
white
quarter.
dishes?
I think so. But wait a minute, it's the other side of the Thames.
Yeah,
In other words, when you cross over from,
Victoria Station.
not Victoria Station, from the Tower of London, the other side of it,
Yeah.
where we went, where they're now gentrifying it,
Yeah.
where the warehouses
Yeah.
are.
Jewish market there.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's now Schwarz,
I suppose so.
and logical.
Like here, the Puerto Ricans, you know, they're Schwarze. So he called us in, and refugees, we said yes. So Max said that I don't feel good, and if he knows where, if we could schlufen where. So he said yes, he has a sister, she's not too far from here, and I'm sure she has a room where I can stay. And he went with us about 2 blocks from there, and it was pitch dark, and she opened, a woman, she only was born with 1 arm, and she had 4 children, and she was a widow, and she opened, and he said to her, look, they're refugees, have you got a room? She said yes, she has a small room, and we told her. So she said, sorgt sich nicht, I go with you, she said, tomorrow morning in the Bloomsbury house, and they will give you money, and you will stay here, and I will cook for you, and I will go with you to the hospital, and I will register you, and ihr wird sein all right. Habt nicht kein I mean, that was just like an angel from heaven. A stranger told me I can stay there, and I will get money from the Bloomsbury house. She said, I have to give it. They know already. I didn't know anything about it, you know. It was a refugee hall there where you could get Unterstützung. So I did get £1 a week, and she wanted 17.5 shilling I have to pay her for room and board, and I have a crown I can keep.
Oh boy.
And I
You're
have
luxury.
a crown, I went to Woobers there, and I bought toothpaste or soap or whatever, and for 6 pence I always bought a little present every week for her little girl. So she went to the Jewish market, and she bought chicken, and she cooked chicken and everything. And Max stood there. It was a very small room, a single bed. We both slept there, and then she said to him, in the early morning, ihr darf da runterkommen und bringen einer Frau tea mit cookies. Every man, that is so, yeah, every husband in England, that is a must. He has to, so he said, all right. So she gave him a thermos bottle, what he brought me up in the night. I couldn't sleep, and I always had to drink something. And she looked at me, and she said, the doctor said, I said, I'm fine, and that's all. So in about 2 days, she went with me there to London Hospital, and there, the first thing, they took X-ray. And they said to me, you're going to have twins. Mommy, she said, when I heard this, I'm going to have twins. I said, I didn't want to be pregnant in the first place, and now I'm going to have twins. So she went with me, and then I came out. Oh, I cried. Was ist euch passiert? Was ist geschehen? And I said, I'm going to have a Zwilling. No, muss eine große Sache. Jeder hat in ein Enkel einen Zwilling. Meine Schwester hat Zwilling, die andere Zwilling.
He's used to it.
That nothing. In England, jeder hat Zwilling, hat sie gesagt. And I looked at her and I said, what will I do mit zwei? You know what, Mrs. Kurtzberg? Mom, Kitty, that was her daughter. Sie wird nicht prägnant. Sie wird auch Cinnamon eines. So don't worry about it. So I was this. So Max went back and I told him, well, he was already so this, he's in camp, and this woman, she said, sorgt sich nicht, ihr wird sein alright. So the next day I went to the Bloomsbury house and I told them, said I went to the doctor and he told me in the hospital I'm going to have twins. Oh yes, you're going to have twins, then you get more money and you get 2 layers for the babies. 1 layer already they put me down, now I'm not going to have twins, you will have 2 layers. Big deal. And then it get a half a crown more. So, because you have to eat better, they say, but it was already. So the time came, and about 2 weeks before I went to the hospital, Max wrote to me, if I could find somebody what would give him a working permit, he could leave the camp. And I told Sister Mrs. Abramson was her name, and she said, yeah, I talked to a neighbor, and I will ask him, and he's a presser, and I will him annehmen as a presser. He knows a presser, like I know like a dancer, a ballet dancer. So anyway, they sent him the permit, and he left the camp, and he came to me. So we living in this little by this woman, and he took him there in the factory in the East End. They needed everybody because the English soldiers already, they went overseas, so every man was a million, you know. He didn't know anything, so you will be the underpresser, they told him. So they gave him just, not a luxury, but you just could have enough just to go through. So I said, all right, now you got a job, and I have to go to the hospital. They told me on the 1st of April, I have to come in because twins are coming earlier. So Sylvia was born on the 24th. I was again 24 days in the hospital, and I did not get any pains. And every day they came and kept on asking me any pains, and I said no. So they were already fed up with me. 24 days, and my feet was swollen, and my finger was swollen. I had no ring, I had nothing. I was blown up, full of water, and no pains. So then on the 24th, they said to me, now we're going to work on you. So they gave me whatever you can imagine. They gave me hot baths, and they gave me quinine, and they gave me all kinds of this. So Max came in 24 days, he kept on coming after work to me and looking, Gurnish, that's it. So then he came in one evening, about 6 o'clock, and they said at 7 o'clock they're going to take me and they're going to do something with me. So they gave me all kinds of stuff, and then they put something on my nose, I guess, and something. But they did not give me a cesarean.
They didn't?
No, I had no cesarean, but they made so many things. So finally, I guess, it came, and it was a midwife. And she had to make her master degree as a midwife, and Sylvia came first, and both babies were bridge babies. So the first one they had to turn, Sylvia came out first, and then the second one, they say Sylvia kicked the other one. What do I know what they did? Anyway, when I woke up, and they said, oh, you have a beautiful little girl. I said, I have 2. They said, no, you only have 1. The other one was stillborn. And I started to cry. And then I thought God knew what he did. And I was in heaven. Now what would I do?
Yeah.
I thought,
Yeah.
my God, there is the war on. The air raids, day and night. The hospital bomb. And everywhere. There is me with one baby. And then I had two, no mother. And the woman said,
Yeah.
it is hard with the baby in this little room. You have to look well. You could get plenty apartments because the people ran away from London. They all went in the country. You see?
So
But
God
we
hat
say-
geholfen.
But we say we are staying in London. I said I had enough from the country and from the hospital. I stay in London, and he got a job in London there as a presser, and we took a little. It was one room and a kitchen. Outside was the water. Outside was the
Also in
toilet.
the East End.
In the East End, yes.
But isn't the East End the part that was bombed so badly?
It wasn't. It started to bombing, yes, and air raids day and
Yeah,
night.
I'm almost certain that the East
Of
End is the
course.
part that got hit the
Well,
hardest.
we were living there maybe a month, all right? And we
There's a
went on
very
Saturday-
famous picture of the king and queen going through the rubble after the bombing, and I'm almost certain that it was
I
the
know,
East
I know.
End.
So anyway, it was a Saturday afternoon, and there was the Jewish market, and we had to go, and we rented a place, but we didn't have any furniture. At the Jewish market, you could buy second-hand table, this, because from the people, but they ran away from London, so you could buy it very cheap. So we bought a table and a bed, okay, and some chairs. Chairs had only 3 legs, and the vierte hat man auch zugestellt zum dies an Swerbel. And Max rented as a little Schubkarren, as a little this with 2
push
hands, a push cart, and I helped him, and I helped him schon voll, and we schlepped this from the Jewish market. It wasn't too far from where we lived, and there we had a bed and a table and chairs. And in the wall there was also a little closet, and everything was on the floor, you know.
What
Water
can I-
was outside.
so-
And yes, and the kitchen there was a little gas stove, and that was it. So we were living there and had Cilly, and I had to schlep the water from outside, and somebody gave me a little wango to garden, and outside I had to dry the diapers and wash by hand, naturally everything.
It's
Well,
very
I tell you
convenient what you
what,
have.
very convenient, yes. And the mice, got in your mind, the mice,
Oh.
day and night, you can't imagine. The mice were terrible. England is interminiert mit mice, especially there in the East End.
Not lots
So
of
we
those
were
are
living
rats.
there maybe 3-4 weeks, and the raids, I had to grab about 10 o'clock in the morning, grab the baby and run in shelters. And I had to run in a beer brewery where the fossils wanted to go downstairs and hin and her. It was terrible. It was then so bad it got worse and worse. And then we went on the Jewish market one Saturday, and he started to drop bombs. And we ran in a one next door. She had a shelter out in the yard. It was just as the maid, like a groom, you know, like a grave, and with a little door. And there we ran, and I just had outside, we bought a new carriage for her, and I just grabbed the baby, and we ran in there, and it opened, and whoom, and it was in middle of our street, there's a big crane, a big
Yeah.
hole. And we were lucky that it wasn't a direct hit of us, and we came out and we said, no, we can stay, and we grabbed the baby, and they said, we shall go in the West End, there it's not so bad. He started in the East End where the Jews are. That was the beginning where he started bombing, in the East End. It was the first attack. That was on a Saturday afternoon on the market where we went, and we were lucky. And then we came, we couldn't use the carriage anymore. There was a big hole from the splinters, and all this, and my windows and my drapes were everything outside on. So we didn't take anything. Just I took a few diapers and took the baby, and we went to the West End. We took a bus, and there we went. It was a church, And we heard the rabbis there in the church, and other people went in the church, and we were there in the church, we walked in, and we heard boom, boom, when the lights went out downstairs and everything. So many hours till it was already, when that was a night, and when it was getting lighter, then it was quiet, then they went back again. You know, they dropped all the bombs and then went back again. So about 6 o'clock in the morning, we went there, and what shall we do? We had no more windows in the flat, we couldn't go in, we can't sleep by nothing more. So he said to me, you know what, I take care of the police station. Maybe they can do something with you and the baby, sagt er. Mehr wird nicht happen da wäre, he said. Like this. First of all, he had his job, he couldn't leave, it was from the government. They made there for the officers the codes, and he pressed the rears.
Yeah, the lapels.
Yeah, the lapels. So he took me to the police station with the baby, and he said, yes, they will put me on a train, a lot of women, I have priority because I have a baby. And they're sending me to a police station in the country. Where was
This was what now? When would this have
What
been?
year
That was in 1939.
But what, like what, June?
No, that was 40. Sylvia was born already. No, that Sylvia was born in April, and that was in September, October,
Okay.
1940. Yeah,
September 40.
yes, 1940. Sylvia was born in April. Sylvia was a few months old.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was in 40. 40, I came in September 40, I came to Newbury, that is by Reading.
Okay, I know where that is.
Yeah.
Son of a gun.
I
know my
came there
English
to
well.
the police station, and they say to us, yes, they have a school where refugees from London with children and little babies come, and they put down little this, and some sleep off the floor, and we can stay so long in the school till they found some place where we can stay with some families. And the
Actually, Reading
police
isn't all that
went
far
from door to all that they were used, one lady in one house and two people in one
Right.
house. From house to house, the police, how many people live in here? So and so many. You have to take in a family with 3. You have to take in a woman with a baby. You have to take in, so they had to, that was compulsory, they had to do it, if they liked it or not. They didn't like the people from London coming, the refugees, in the country. They were the real English people, you know, the goyim, so, you know, and they had to take us. So first we were living in the school. In the school we didn't get anything to eat, just condensed milk, you know, carnation milk, and some bread. And I was feeding the baby. I had no bottles, nothing, because we had the end in London, no more gas or electric, there was nothing more. So there was no use to stay there, I had to leave. So there I was living on just on a piece of bread or toast with the milk, because it was rationed already, and we didn't have our ration cards there in the new days, so till it all goes through. And we all lived to this. No diapers, no bathing a baby. She was 3 months old. I couldn't give her a bath. Wash any diapers, and she survived. Yes? And here, with the special room and with all the this, you know, with diaper service and God knows what, they get diaper rushes and God knows what. Well, anyway, we were staying there in the school maybe a week or 10 days, and then I was living with an English woman. Her husband worked on the railroad, and she gave me also a little room with the baby, and I from the government so much they paid for my lodging to this woman, and I did get a few shillings to live. And then she said, I shall give her the money and she will cook for me. Well, she cooked, but she didn't give me anything to eat. But I was hungry, I can't tell you. So all of a sudden I get a letter, I wrote to Max, I get a letter from him. He came in the morning to the factory, and the factory is flat. The factory was bombed. So he went to the police station and
He's on his
told
way.
So he said, do you know, they asked him, you know where to go? He said, yes, my wife is in Newbury and she lives there, and can I go to Newbury? They said, all right, go. So he came to Newbury, And he went there to the labor exchange. This is over here, where you can get labor.
Relation.
Huh?
No,
No, it's
like,
employment agency.
Yeah, with the New York State
Yeah,
Employment or
labor
whatever, yeah.
exchange, yes. So he went there and he said he is from London, a refugee, and he gave on the company where he worked, the factory, and it is pump. And they said, we have no work here, but in the meanwhile, you will get unemployment, okay? So he did get a few shillings, and then they looked a place for him and for another Jewish man who also worked with him in the factory, and his wife, the little boy, came also there. So we were neighbors in the same street. She was living there, English woman, and I was living there, English woman. Well, they took the money all right, but they didn't want to give us anything. Very little. You know, they made the big plates and very fancy everything, but nothing on the plate.
That's the way they always eat.
Two-string beans.
That's the way they
Yeah,
eat.
that's the way they eat. They
And
make
Mexico there.
their tea sandwiches, you know, little.
Yeah, little tiny. I learned how to make the little squares. I had to make it, yeah. And then
What a
when
breast
Max
sandwich.
came, and so he said, I live by the Mrs. Appleby, and I was living by the Mrs. Reed. So the Mrs. Appleby, she was an old lady, so she had the Jewish man. She also took the money from them, and she cooked. And he said, sie gibt nicht zu essen. Sie gibt nicht zu essen. So he was hungry and I was hungry. So we met. I wasn't living together. He was living there. I was living. We met in a park. So I kissed the baby, and we could get bread wasn't rationed. You see, bread you could buy. It wasn't rationed then. So we went to the bakery and we bought the bread and were sitting in the park, and each one we were eating Erbers and whatever. And that's it. And then I went back. And I was living there with this woman, and he there maybe 3 months. And all of a sudden, the woman said she had enough, the baby's getting bigger, and her daughter, she brings a boyfriend in, and him and her. So I said, well, you have to get me another place. It's not mine. I did get this place from them, you go to them. So she went to them and told them, so they said, all right. So they gave me another place by a young woman. Excuse me, she had a little boy and her husband was in the Air Force. She had a single home and a very nice place, and she said, I can have a nice room, about 1 room. And I said, can my husband move in here with me? She said, yes. If the building office, she said, they're going to pay for you and for him. And she was glad. She only did get, the allowance for him. So she was glad. So he was in heaven. So we had this 1 room with 1 bed standing there. We were together. And I said, now I will go and I will cook for us. And she said, I can use the kitchen. And she was...
How long had you been married at this point?
6 years in Vienna. And we were staying there 3 years.
Oh, wow.
3 years by this woman. No,
What was her name?
wow.
What was her name?
Mrs. Goldstone. But she was not
Goldstone.
Jewish. No, Goldstone. And Max did get a job in a paper factory, and that was everything essential there for the government, you know. So he worked there, and he got home, and we could save about 10 shilling a week. We went to the post office.
That's pretty good.
10 shilling a week. But I mean, food was where we had our ration, which was very, very.
So you had the hardships of war, but at this point you were past the bombings. You really
Well,
weren't part
it
of
was
the
still
bombings.
the war on.
Oh, no,
and
no, I
in
said it.
Newbury were also the Jerry's when it was about 4 or 5 o'clock and it was getting dark, you had to make out, and then you had boom, boom, boom when they came over, you know, and they dropped
Because
bombs
let's
on a
face it,
school.
Reading isn't that far from London. I mean, you're not talking about a huge
Well,
distance.
it was
What, an hour's drive?
2
Not even-
hours, an hour and a half, something like this. Yeah.
Because
Newbury.
actually, as I remember, Reading isn't all that far from Heathrow, from the airport. But the airport isn't in London, so,
That's,
you know, you know,
And
it's,
you-
Yeah, the airport's an hour outside of London.
that's right.
Yeah. So
Because Reading was not
they
far from where
bombed
we
Newbury
stayed.
also. They bombed the school they only had certain targets.
Is Reading,
It
Hampshire?
was- What?
Is that in the county of Hampshire? The Shire of Hampshire, what county is that?
New Hampshire?
Reading and Newbury, what county in England is that?
I got already.
It's not Kent, it's
No,
not
no, no.
Sussex,
Kansas
what
is
would that?
Kansas. And it's
think
not
it's
the
Ham-
Midlands, the Midlands is in
Further
Coventry.
north, yeah.
I don't know.
Okay,
I
I'm
forgot.
curious. Okay,
So they bombed schools, they bombed old age homes and hospitals. This was the target from the Germans. Okay? And
Die deutsche Luftwaffe.
well, that was one of the things we learned in classes.
Oh, they were going every day over
Well,
there.
one of the-
I get finished soon.
Okay, you
Can
wanna?
I shut it off?
Well, no, I wanna hear what the, okay, shut it off. Okay, was it, you were in, Mrs. Goldstone's place
yeah,
for the length of the war? Or did you leave before the war?
3 years, no. And after 3 years, then her in-laws came and said they are bombed out. I don't know where they were living, and they're going to stay with her. And we have to get out from here. So I said, you go and find. And
Find
they
me
found
another
us
place.
Another place. So they found us another place in Newbury also. It was like a little farm. And I had to share this with an English woman. Her husband was also in the army. And I had one bedroom and a living room and use of the scullery. There was no kitchen, scullery. You know what the scullery is? It's a little this. And this woman also, she went to work. She was a very nice English person.
Did you ever maintain a relationship with any of these people?
Yeah, in the beginning.
Yeah.
In the beginning, but then it was over. And there, we were living there till the war was over. Okay? And that was in 1940.
Well, the war. Yeah, the war.
Right? 1945. Yeah, 1945. We were living there, and there was a little garden, and Max, when he came home, he had night shift in a factory, and he came home and he planted vegetables and everything, and we were happy there. And of course it was the war on and rationed everything. And there, all of a sudden then, when it was nearer and nearer.
Did you ever have any fears that the Germans would actually conquer Britain? And,
Well, in the
and that
beginning,
you had
in the
come out of the
beginning,
frying
in the
pan into
beginning,
the
that
fire.
was the Endstation. You couldn't go nowhere then. Okay? When they would come to England, that would be the end. I mean, where can you run from England? Huh? It's the water. Where do you go? But that was our luck, because he couldn't do because of the channel. He couldn't. That was and Churchill, when he said his last speech, we are this from the air, and we on the sea, and he gave him this. That was a very good speech what he wrote, and maybe he was scared, and I don't know. Well, anyway, I think of this kite. This kite.
No, he's tired. It's been a long day of recording. Okay. Is anything?
he's
You want to wrap it up 2 minutes?
Go in bed und leg dich auf so nieder.
No,
we gotta
we're
go.
leaving.
We
We're
gotta go
leaving.
to the Bertha.
He's getting,
All right.
he's
You
getting-
got a birth already?
Yeah.
I do follow.
Sure.
So-
No,
Well, I
I'm
cannot
not.
go
You got
away.
5 minutes to
I
wrap
have,
it
I
up.
have 5 minutes to
I
wrap it up.
Cannot
That's
go
a
away
couple
without going
No,
to
I'm not.
bed.
No,
I'm
It's a
not.
quarter to 6.
1945.
Maybe she's gonna go
When
to
we
sleep.
heard the war was over, then we tried to go back to England, to London, because we had enough of the country. London is London. You are in a.
Did it ever,
Guilty.
well, I'm just curious, it's this bizarre kind of thing, did it ever occur to you after the war to consider going back to Vienna?
Never,
Never.
never. I never wanted to
I
go
neither
back to
either,
Vienna.
no.
Well, no, but that's, you
No,
know,
no.
did you want to stay in England?
Yeah. Yeah. I still had the affidavit, but I know we can't go. I mean, we never heard anything more, you know?
You would have stayed in England if it
Yes,
wasn't-
of course. I was already so many years in England, and Sylvia went there to school, you know? And
So
Yeah,
why
so-
did you leave? Because family was here
no,
or because?
listen. Well, we were in the
You know,
country,
the-
and then I said
no,
I
the
want to go
language.
back to London. No more bombing, and you couldn't find our place. So somebody finally found us a little flat. The flat was, the ganze Flats dort. I was living on the third floor, and on the first floor, this was so good, was the toilet and the water, and I had to schlep the water 3 floors
Where
up.
in London was this? Also in the East End, or is that
No,
wrong? This
well,
is-
a little bit further from the East End. That was in Old Gate, Dorton.
Oh, okay, I know
Okay,
that. I know.
that's
That's where we went
to that
with that
pub,
club. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know exactly where it was.
Blackstone Road, what I remember.
Yes,
now.
Oh
absolutely,
my goodness gracious! I-
Nancy,
When Cilly was in England, she went to see where we was living. I said, because mit sie, where we were living on the 3rd floor, and it was a 3-family house, yeah. 3 families were living there. And when you came up the stairs, there was also a little this, and there were outside the gas stove, and then you come in and there was the living, and there was no kitchen, just the stove. And the gas stove was from the gas company, and you had to put in.
The coins, yes.
And am Gästhof oben, da war so little this there, you put in the plates. I had to schlepp the water herauf and chicken aus the water, and a bath downstairs. There was one bath, was schon gut, a bathtub war unten for 3 families. And we were living there then from 45 to January 48. And I never thought that I will come to America anymore. We thought we save up, you could buy, but it cost you a lot of money. And a lot of them, they were living in London with the bomb, and they were lucky, and they made a lot of money. So they could buy this, but in the country, when he worked in the factory. I
Buy
mean,
what? A ticket? You mean passage? I don't
No,
know.
to buy a flat. To
Oh,
buy,
I see.
Nicht a house,
Yeah,
an
but-
apartment,
right.
but cost a lot of money. So we saved up to buy this, so we shall living not in a sort of this, mit a Badezimmer, with
Right,
a bathroom.
No,
All of a sudden, we from the Blue Moon, we go and get a mail. There is American consul.
Your name finally came
They
up.
did no, die Untersuchung, the examen, you shall come for the.
America.
Was tut man? What shall we do? Shall we go? Now we shall go, I said. Now we shall go to
It's all
America.
over.
So we asked den und den. So a friend of mine, Mr. Winstock.
Oh, I know that name.
Amerika gibt man nicht auf. Du fahr nach Amerika. Amerika gibt niemand auf. Amerika is America. Du fahr nach America.
There's only one America.
And she was living in Swiss Cottage. I don't know if you know this. It's a very nice place, and she had already three bedrooms with den, and her husband was living all the time in London. He made a lot of money. So she said, alle Weiher can nach Amerika. Die fuhr nach Amerika, she said to me. Go. So we went for this, and it wasn't long. We did get it. So I went to the Bloomsbury house, and they gave me tickets, and they said, you go. Warum wollen Sie nach Amerika fahren? Only German were there. So I said, well, I have there my brother and my sisters there. Werden die Ihnen etwas geben? I don't know. Geht's Ihnen schlecht in England? Sag ich, no. Wenn Sie fahren, don't regret it, hat sie gesagt zu mir. If you go, don't regret it. Okay? Then go. But I don't know why you should go, she said. Every woman in England in America has to work. You don't work here in England, she said. Yes. That's
Did
all.
you hear that?
Yes, it's all on tape. Okay, very good.
That was it. And so
So,
he came to me.
That's
I
it.
want no. I
And
have
the
one other
others is
question.
history. Then you came and you went.
And I taught Sylvia bubblegum. No, but that's.
That was January the 25th. We arrived 1948. And Peter was born in July
Yeah, July.
1948.
That's 42 years.
Huh? Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's
42
only
years.
yesterday, but that's that they. until when were you in contact with either your parents or Erna?
Oh, with my parents, I was in contact after Sylvia was born because I still have a letter from my father. And I sent him pictures from me and from Sylvia. So that was in 1940.
No.
In England, I didn't
He was-
hear
he
anything.
Now, you
still-
see, what's interesting to me is that
Yeah.
each
That
of you
was still-
have a different time period, a different time frame where
Well,
you had
I
contact
had
with your
from
relative.
41.
And
From 41.
Anna has it as late as
Well,
42.
in this year, in the country, I didn't hear anything more. In 41, I didn't get anything. I know I had a letter from Pepe from Switzerland where he wrote, I shall send him something and he's going to send it to my parents. And they confiscated, they opened the letter in England. Because
They
it was
opened the letter from him
from
to
him.
you,
Yeah.
not from your father, from
No,
him.
From him, and they wrote to me, said I shouldn't dare and send anything because es geht in einem im Feindesland, in German they wrote to me,
Yeah.
and I'm not allowed to send
To send
anything.
anything.
So I wrote them back a letter and I said, they are my parents and they're starving, and if I could only send them a few pounds to Switzerland and he would be able to buy anything or send them anything. And they
He
said,
never
they're
got
sorry,
anything.
they're sorry, but it's not it's against the rules. I couldn't do anything.
Okay,
Yeah.
Can I shut it
okay,
off?
okay.
Yeah.